Bubble guppies.
Guys, I'm self-caring. I started a new hair routine. I figured out what kind of hair I have. Yeah, I have 2A hair.
How 2A, very nice.
Yeah,
isn't that like that's types. Straight, isn't
wavy.
it? Like it's straight.
Like straight but wavy.
Okay, because I was like, I think I'm like a 3C.
That's really curly. That's like.
Oh, coils. Hold on, I fucked up somewhere. I knew it was like
you probably mean 1C, either 2C maybe or 1C.
Because I have naturally curly hair.
Might be 2C.
Mine is 3C. That's how we're gonna kick off the episode. What kind of hair do you have?
What kind of hair do you have?
What kind of hair do I have?
All right.
I gotta pull up my information. You guys are in for a treat tonight.
No, it was 2C.
This creepy.
2C.
That makes sense.
2C. I knew it was a C, but I was like, was it
3C? Is like coily as shit.
Yeah, no,
that's like I don't really
have, my hair's curly though. Like it like when it's actually healthy and not just absolutely fried to all shit. It's
okay.
It's like
mine just
it does have good texture.
Mine does not curl. The girl that does my hair, she's like, "You want it curly?" I was like, "No." Like sometimes I'll let her, but then it's like it does this within like.
But your hair always looks so nice. It always looks so silky and like nice.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting really long.
She goes.
Nice. I'm always like, oh, it's because I washed it.
Clean.
Don't you hate that when somebody looks like your hair looks so nice today? And it's like on a day that you wash and blow dry it, and you're just like,
you're
like, so else? What do I look every other day of the week? I look like a greasy little butterball. So anyways, welcome to another episode of the Ghoulfriend Hour. I'm your host, your ghost host, Morgan Feza, as always.
I'm your co-host who started a new hair care routine, Taylor Jones.
And I am the most a ghost, Rachel Fox.
This is our self-care episode.
My hair's just straight.
So tonight we're self-caring. We're self-caring as you can see. I started my self-care routine thinking I had more time than I did. I did not. So I'm deep conditioning and I'm cleansing these pores because your girl is struggling. Rachel, what have you done self-care today? What is your self-care moment?
I washed my hair today. I was going to joke and say it was not when I went to Spirit Halloween, but it's actually the opposite.
That didn't go very. That was anti self-care.
It was.
That was zesty, stressy.
Yes.
Taylor, and Taylor's self-care was starting a new hair routine, or did you do something extra self-care today?
I did that last night. I ate food today. I fed myself.
Good foods that didn't upset your tummy?
Yes.
Okay. So that's our self-care moment.
Yep.
Not eating Captain Crunch and giving ourselves bubble guppies.
That was not self-care.
that
was self-harm. I self-harmed myself today by eating cereal.
Taylor knew she could not have the Captain Crunch. She ate the Captain Crunch out of pure hunger instincts. Those survival instincts.
Yes.
Okay. So today, besides our self-care episode, we're actually our favorite part of our self-care routine is reading really scary things and scaring ourselves. It makes us happy. It brings us joy. So today we are doing urban legends. So I'm going to kick it over to Taylor and Rachel, and you guys do your thing while I self-care over here.
Ta-da. She's just going to relax and enjoy the show.
Rachel, I'm going to let you go first because mine's a little lengthy. Okay. And I feel like you should take over first.
All right. So when we talk about urban legends, you hear all of the like traditional ones and the Bigfoot and the, Crybaby Bridge and the woman coming and things like that. I did some research on.
Wait, did you say the woman coming?
Huh?
What legend is that?
The woman coming to the bridge. What is that?
Oh, the woman coming. That was a connected legend. I was like,
stopped.
I was like, where's the
legend of the woman coming?
You gotta get.
Who's like that's a new one. I didn't hear that one yet.
Coming to the bridge. Crybaby Bridge.
That's why we're careful when we are on Reddit.
We need to get off Reddit. It's a dark mess.
Yeah, I was on something else.
Okay. Anyways, continue.
So I have a cemetery in Illinois Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, and I've done a lot of firsthand accounts of people seeing a lot of the same things happening at this cemetery. And so it's almost kind of like a local thing where, you know, people have seen it, people know somebody who's seen these things, and the things are pretty, you know, reoccurring and repetitive. So it's not like, oh, I saw this one time, or, you know, these things are pretty repetitive here at this cemetery. And so this historic site was established in 1830s, and it became not infamous for only eerie abandonment of the property, but its paranormal activity and its mysterious legends. So over the years, it has suffered, oh my God, I can't even talk. It has suffered vandalism, destruction, and, you know, which many believe to its haunted reputation. Visitors and ghost hunters have reported strange occurrences, floating orbs, phantom vehicles, a farmhouse that appears and vanishes without explanation, which is just the craziest thing. It is, when I get to that part, it's really crazy. My mind just can't wrap around it. So one of the most well-known stories involves an apparition of a white-clad woman, often referred to the Madonna of Bachelor's Grove. So witnesses describe her as wandering the cemetery, carrying a baby, particularly during full moons. She's usually very sorrowful, as she is searching for a child that she lost. And then once she kind of, you see her, she then disappears. I saw many pictures that people have taken of a woman. Like, it's very eerie how many like people have seen her, and it's kind of the same thing. She's always kind of wandering. She's really sad. It's very, you know, dressed in white. So I'm like, that is really scary.
I feel like that's going to tie into my story. I wonder if it's like somehow connected.
It might be. So other things, animal sacrifices, cult rituals, mysterious deaths have happened on the property. There's also a tale of a farmer and his horse who allegedly drowned in a pond nearby. And so people talk about this horse that they see in this pond. And I'm just like, I just want to go here. It sounds crazy. Some even claim that mobsters once used the ground as a dumping site for bodies, although there was no real evidence to that. Bachelor's Grove is a popular destination for paranormal enthusiasts. Access to the cemetery is only allowed during the day, with patrols ensuring it remains undisturbed after sunset, which is
probably a good reason for that.
When you have to patrol the cemetery, you know it's legit. So this is one of the craziest things about the vanishing farmhouse.
I feel like StreamYard's really glitchy. Hold on. Sorry. Do you guys see the glitches happening?
She's going to unglitch it.
I was like going to try and see. I'm like, is it my Wi-Fi? I don't know what's happening.
No Wi-Fi.
Do you guys see it?
No.
Or is it just me?
No. What part is glitching?
It like keeps doing that thing that it did before Rachel. Remember when her mouse went all like haywire? It keeps like freezing. I'm like, that must be me because I didn't see you two reacting to it, but I was like,
everything.
You looked fine the whole time.
Okay. All right. So it must be my internet. I'm gonna have to check on that.
Yeah, tell me get on it.
Sorry, I'm like, I want to text him and be like, hey, can you disconnect from some stuff? Okay, sorry.
No, you're all right.
I didn't want you to like tell your story, and then if we were all seeing it, it means it's gonna affect the audio and the video. So I was like, crap. I didn't want you to like tell your story and then
be like, I didn't hear a single
word. Okay.
So one of the most intriguing legends is the vanishing farmhouse, which there are a lot of accounts of this, and I saw pretty much the same, like the consistency in the stories of the farmhouse that is associated with Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. So according to local lore, visitors sometimes report seeing a Victorian style farmhouse with a porch, a swing, glowing candles appearing near or within the cemetery grounds. What makes it so eerie is that it seems transparent with the flickering yellow-orange lights emanating from the windows. So witnesses claim that the house appears to change location within the cemetery and vanishes as they try to approach it, shrinking away until it disappears altogether.
Oh, so that's spooky.
There's some speculates that it could be tied to residual energy from the past structures, but there historically has never been a house, a church, a school, any type of structure that has been near or around the cemetery. So nobody knows exactly why you see this image of a farmhouse and it pops up and then it shrinks and then disappears.
Oh, that's so spooky. Like a ghost house. Like, you know,
Yeah.
how people like report ghost ships.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
So this cemetery has the ghost farmhouse.
Where is it located again?
So it's called Bachelor's Grove. It's in Midlothian, Illinois.
It's always out in the like middle of Buffalo.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Nowhere.
like, it's always. I wonder if there's like a weird fault line, because you know how like there's like Teos, New Mexico, and then there's like all those things that happen out in Nevada and like Arizona area.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wonder if there's like a little like fault line or something for supernatural.
Yep.
Could be.
So like other additional tales, you know, phantom animals, a ghostly black dog that people see, a monk has been seen wandering the cemetery. Also reports of hearing car doors slam without any vehicles nearby, and others have claimed to see vintage cars without seeing, you know, any cars recently or coming in and anything like that. So those are the special fancy lore and urban legends of the Bachelor's Grove Cemetery.
That
very
is super
intriguing.
spooky. I want to go there.
Me too.
That sounds
We're gonna go on
pretty
a
cool.
cemetery road
Well,
trip.
I hate that your first instinct is to be like, I want to go there. Like, not like, oh, that's scary. Like, you know, I don't know if I could ever go there. No,
You
like,
know
I
that
wanna go there.
investigating is fun. It's fun.
It is fun. I also don't want to die though. I also don't want you bringing anything home again.
That's all right. I already did it once. After we fixed my transmission, it wasn't super detrimental. It was more the car that pissed me off than anything.
Whatever you brought
Oh, we have
home
a
was little
comment.
asshole.
Let's see. Matthew Ryan said, "Hey everyone, MSTT of Dark Echoes Paranormal."
I'm gonna
Hello,
guess
Matthew.
Hi.
that was a typo.
Wait, what is
I'm guessing-
MSTT? Am I having a moment?
No, I'm guessing Matt. He just put S instead of
Oh,
A. Next to each other.
my brain is not braining today. Usually, like I'll just
I'm
fill in the
having a
letter, like of
moment.
a typo. Hey,
Oh
Matt.
my
But yeah, I definitely feel like that would be like, it would just be cool to experience that, like, and see like if it happens, like if the house
Like
if
a whole
you're-
house. Like
and you said people have seen like the details of it. It's not
Yes.
just like
Mhm.
like the a vision of the house, like, or an
Yes.
outline, or like, because I could see how, because like even with like the Bell Witch, which I just did like a thing on it, I was learning that they debunked the weird figure that John Bell saw in the fields due to like gases and like stuff that were coming up from the ground. So like it's like that would have like a normal explanation, but it's like if you see a whole ass house and you see like you said chairs and like
candles in they always the people talk about candles in the window. And it's just
yeah.
like
Like
details.
if you see something like that, like that's like a full on like manifestation, which is really cool
Mm-hmm.
and spooky. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think
that's
ghost
spooky.
ships and like ghost houses. That's the first ghost house I've ever heard of, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that stuff's kind of cool.
This is pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah. All right, Taylor's turn.
All right.
Taylor, you're up.
All right, so when I was researching and I came across, I'm surprised I haven't heard this urban legend before, so I was really intrigued. But I am gonna put like, was it like a note that there are certain words that I prefer not to pronounce just out of respect because it is part of the Cherokee culture and I don't want to mispronounce anything. I tried looking everywhere for like the actual pronunciation. So my legend that I'm going to speak about tonight is the legend of Spearfinger.
Mm-hmm.
There is a, like in the native language, another way of saying Spearfinger, but I don't want to butcher it. So if anyone's curious to know what the actual pronunciation of it, they can look it up. But I'm going to be respectful. So I'm not going to try to pronounce it and then fuck it up. So this is Spearfinger. I'm going to talk about a little bit about like the base facts of who Spearfinger is. And then I actually have found a story online of a couple who think that they had an encounter with Spearfinger, which when I read it, it was like really eerie. So Spearfinger she is basically a monster and a witch in Cherokee legend. She's said to live along the eastern side of Tennessee and western part of North Carolina. So she kind of, from what I was reading from different stories, it seems like she follows along like the Appalachian Trail, like the Cherokee area. The story that I am going to read about, they think that they encountered her in Mount Sterling in North Carolina. So it seems to just be all along the coast of like the eastern side of Tennessee and the western part of North Carolina. But Morgan, I don't know if maybe you could pull a picture up from our Trello, but she basically on her right hand, her right forefinger, it actually resembles as a spear or an obsidian knife, which she uses to cut her her victims, but she victimizes children. That's what I meant to say. So she uses it to cut her victims, but from what I've heard, she tends to go after a lot of children. Her mouth is stained with blood from the liver she has eaten. So what she tends to do is she takes livers. She takes livers and she eats them. Often she clutches her right hand tightly because she's hiding her heart. So her weak spot is known to be in the finger. So that is where her heart lies. She sounds like thunder when she walks, crushing rocks into the ground when she steps on them. Her voice echoes down the mountains to the Cherokee villages and scares the birds of the forest away, which the people have traditionally seen as a warning sign. In Tennessee, Spearfinger is believed to enjoy walking the trail that joins, I want to say it's the Chillowy Mountain. I think that's how you say it. If anyone knows the right way to say it, please let me know. And the nearby Little Tennessee River. She's also known to have walked throughout the mountain range, around the streams, and through shadowy, I think it's pronounced Nantahala River passes. And she has a chant that she actually says, which I'm not going to read it because
don't say it. I was
scary.
like, don't say it.
It sounds terrifying. I don't want to. She has like a song. She has a song that she sings, and I don't want to say it. So if you are curious, you can go look it up. But besides the spear on her finger, she shapeshifts into family members of her child victims. So when she has made herself part of the victim's world, she lacks the ability to change her form while still in anyone else's sight. She often disguises herself in the form of a harmless old lady, as in the story The Spearfinger.
This is why Rachel doesn't like elderly people.
Yes.
This is
the real reason, because they could secretly be.
That's exactly it.
Yes.
100%.
And because she also is made of stone.
Spearfinger drive?
If Spearfinger's driving, count me out.
Because she's made of stone, arrows cannot pierce her skin. They actually shatter when they hit her. She could pick up boulders effortlessly, stack them, break them, and morph them together.
I like it.
Yeah. So this is actually a story. I wanted to read this because I was like kind of spooked by it. But apparently there was a couple who, like I said, they were like avid hikers. They hiked all the time in different areas. And this one time they happened to be in Mount Sterling in North Carolina. So I'm going to try to read through it a little quick because it's not long, but it's not short. So it says, truthfully, I don't know how to go about this story without sounding like an absolute loon, but I think there was something not human I encountered with my boyfriend on Mount Sterling in North Carolina. I want to preface this story by saying that we have tried every local explanation possible. We looked up every indigenous animal in the area and every kind of call they would make for any situation to compare to the sound this thing made. And nothing sounded remotely close to what we heard. My boyfriend decided to go hiking and camping. Nothing was out of the ordinary, except for the fact that we had so many delays, which I now think was the universe trying to prevent us from coming to this trail, because it seems like it all led up to this very moment. For example, I'm already out of breath. We drove up the road to the trailhead and we found someone's dog. Small breaks, tiny steps. The whole encounter was good. It was some guy's dog that lived nearby, but we got off track with time, trying to make sure we got the dog to where it belonged safely. We went to a swimming hole. It was all normal and okay, but here's where things start to get chaotic and odd slowly but surely. We went to the nearest populated area and grabbed chicken sandwiches from this food truck, and it took forever, which got us off track with time. They were pretty weird and icky tasting. I don't know why they needed to put that in there, but I guess now you know. If you ever see a truck stand with chicken sandwiches nearby, don't go there. Then we tried to get back to the trailhead, and his GPS starts going crazy. Listen, apparently not those ones. It ends up not me dying. It ends up taking us.
Like this Taylor's trying to report on this. She's having a choking attack.
Mm-hmm. It's because I'm talking about it. It's probably why. Maybe I'm not supposed to be talking.
That's what I'm saying. You're no.
It ends up taking 16 miles out of the way from where we were even supposed to go, which made us even more behind on time. And the reason we hurried was because we wanted to get to the camp on top of the mountain before sundown, which was at 8:45. I'm gonna skip. Oh, okay. This part they just talk about how like it was really weird because they both started getting a stomach ache. And the trail that they were doing, they started feeling really weird. They said we got going on the trail and it was 2.8 miles. So we were in a hurry to get to the top. I don't know what the hell was going on, but literally he and I both were getting our butts kicked by this trail. I want to add we are avid hikers and it should have been a cakewalk compared to what we normally do. So neither one of us should have had an issue going up this trail. But we both literally were sick. Like I nearly threw up so many times and even put my fingers down my throat to throw up and I couldn't. Gross.
Chicken sandwiches.
I know.
When you get to the point of nausea that you're just done, I mean,
right?
I had
You
to
should
do
just
that
turn back
before.
around.
We were like, just throw up. Like, just get it up.
We couldn't even walk straight on the trail. We were so dizzy and disoriented. Mind you, it was not hot up there at all. It was fairly cool. Well, shockingly, we made it up despite feeling like our bodies were shutting down, and we even contemplated going back to the car a few times on the way up, which I really wish we would have done after this evening. Well, then, there were no campsites or anything available, and we would need to go back to the car. But this nice family let us set up camp by them. It was a mom, granny, dad, and little girl. Preface on the little girl. And they camped in a green tent. Also take note of that. Nightfall came, and we went up to smoke a joint on the fire tower that was up there. We're on the first flight of stairs, and I look above us to the next flight, and I swear I saw legs and feet like someone was standing there, which threw me off because I thought we were alone. So I shined my light to make sure we weren't in the way of another hiker going down the stairs, and nothing was there at all. I was a little alarmed, but quickly blamed it on my bad vision at night, even though it felt weird to me. This is where it gets...
You might have been a little high.
Probably that too. That doesn't help. Just a little high. Oh. So this is where it gets terrifying. If you don't think it could get worse, it does. We go down off the fire tower. We hang my boyfriend's food bag on a bear cable, which is just up high so bears can't get the food or attract bears for those who don't know. Anyways, we're walking back to our camp and we shine our light around, and out of nowhere, something screams the most god-awful bloody murder screech. It sounds like a woman's screech, but not human. Then it screams again. I decided to shine my light in that direction, and I couldn't tell if I was shaking too hard or if this was something ravenously shaking next to the family in the green tent. My boyfriend yells at me saying, "Come on." So I ran after him and we got in the tent and hid our gun, and it was literally right next to the family's tent. We never saw or heard anything run from the tent or around us. If it was an animal, you'd think we would have heard it walk or run. And I know in the Smoky Mountains there are reports of feral humans, which I feel like that doesn't make me feel better. Being like, oh yeah, it could be a feral human.
Yeah, it's like which one is worse? It's kind of like pick your poison at that point.
A feral
I don't even know. I don't know. I feel like we would have heard something walking, but we never did. That family we were camping with was freaking out too and asked if we were okay. They tossed and turned and stayed up all night talking about this thing that screamed right outside of our tent. Once the morning came, we hoped they would still be there so we could all chat about this, but they soon left as soon as there was light in the sky. My boyfriend
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. My boyfriend has been camping alone since he was 16 years old, and he said he had never heard anything like that in the woods. He even said he did the Benton McKay Trail and had to hike through the area we camped in. He said even back then, this place had such an eerie energy to it. He and I both still have no clue what it could possibly have been, but we have a few theories after some research, and we think it could have been either a flesh pedestrian, that's what they called it. Someone was hurt on the trail.
Is that a SW?
Yeah. That's the.
What?
But yes.
Yes. I was like,
Okay,
what?
I was like,
Yeah, that's what they call it though. An animal we were unsure of, and then feral humans is another one. I don't even know why that's an
That's
option.
frightening.
cannibals.
Yeah. And then the worst part was that they said it could have been Spearfinger, which, for those who don't know, is an indigenous spirit that allegedly haunts the Smoky Mountains. She targets children, and what is so chilling about that to me is the scream was right next to the tent that the family with the little girl was in. Which is crazy. And then if I don't know if it's gonna work on my end, so I might.
Do you need the video?
Yes,
I already
not
have it.
the.
I already have it
Well,
ready.
not that one yet.
Oh.
I
was so excited. I was so excited. I was
No.
ready.
I want to show that one. I want to show that one after, because that's actually a local talking about the Spearfinger legend story, like what they hear in the town. But actually, I don't know if I want to show that first or if I want to show this. No, I lie. We'll show that first. The video that you have up. We'll show that first because I want to save the other video. It's a lot. It's creepy, so we'll save that after.
Just don't go camping. Nobody.
No.
Just no.
So Morgan's gonna pull up. It's I guess like it's an interview they did on. It must have been like the local news or something of the Cherokee legend, and this woman actually talks about. I would just skip past like when the woman reporter talks.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, she talks about like what the legend is and kind of describes more about like who Spearfinger is and what she's all about.
Roll the clip.
Stories all day. Now we turn to a Cherokee legend.
Yeah, the story is meant to warn kids not to wander too far from home. WAT6 on your size, Krista Gallant spoke to a Cherokee storyteller about Spearfinger.
The Cherokee Nation is alive and well in our Great Smoky Mountains, and so are their stories. Oral presentations are an important part of their culture and heritage. They tell stories of their history and of mythical creatures. One story has caught the attention of many, especially during this spooky time of year. This is the story of Spearfinger.
Spearfinger was a different type of supernatural creature because she was covered in like a rock-like skin. No arrows, no spears could penetrate that. But the scariest thing of all about Spearfinger is she is a shapeshifter. So you could be out with your friends and the person you thought was your friend would slip behind you and take her razor sharp spear finger that she kept hidden, spear you through the liver, pull it out, and eat it, bloody and raw. But there was a Cherokee village near here that heard that she was feeding and she was close by. So they decided that they were going to try to trap her. And they dug a big pit all around their village, and then they covered it. They were hoping she would fall in and they could kill her. Well, her favorite time of year was the fall, like today, because the Cherokees would go out and gather chestnuts, and they would set fire to the leaves so that they could find the chestnuts. So when she saw the smoke, she hurried over because she knew she could hide and watch and get someone maybe on the outskirts. And they set men, their best bowmen, along the way and hid. So they hid for a long time, and then they heard someone coming. And when they saw her, she was a tiny little old lady. And they couldn't shoot her. But then she fell. She fell in that, and she screamed and took on her natural form, which was horrible. They ran to the edge and they shot her and they threw rocks and they threw spears at her and it just bounced off her body. They didn't know what to do. And finally, a little bird flew down and landed on her shoulder as if to say, shoot her here. So they doubled their efforts and shot her there. Nothing. Then another bird came and landed on the tip of her spear finger. And when they looked, they could see it. It was about as big as the end of my finger, and it was black, but it was beating. And that's where her heart was. So the best bowman drew back and shot her right through the heart, and it killed her.
Ooh, it gives me chills
That's
every time that I
crazy.
hear that story. Kathy Littlejohn tells me that it's not only
Is that
important
it?
to tell the history
Yeah,
of
that's
the
it.
charity.
Okay.
So yeah.
Dude, I like the way she tells the story though. That was a really good.
Yeah, right? That's like one of those things where you know that you grew up in a small town because the way that they tell their stories or their like folklore and stuff, like they have such passion to it and all that. It's crazy. So this other video that I wanted to show you guys, I was all for trying to debunk it. I'm still skeptical because it could be anything, and I'm kind of like glad that I'm sharing this on here because if we have any fans that know anything or like live in that area, I would love for them to come forward and like debunk it because I was trying to figure it out so hard the other day. I spent like a good half an hour, but this video, the girl who just told the story, not the woman, the girl who was in the mountains with her boyfriend, she said that this video was the closest she could get to compare to the screaming that she heard. So it's somebody else's footage. And I tried to look up as many different animals as I could, and I couldn't figure it out. Like I thought it could have been an elk or maybe a moose or even Patrick. I had Patrick help me, and he's pretty good at knowing those types of animals, and even he couldn't figure it out. So I want to see like what your guys' take is on it when you hear it.
Yeah. Do you want me to present?
Yes, please.
Okay. And
please.
huge shout out. Thanks, Raymond, for sharing our podcast and our stream.
Okay. I would just click it to like the 45-second mark, so we're not watching like a whole last minute of it.
Okay. 45 seconds. Let's get it. All right, I'm gonna go like 44 just to be for good measure.
All around, and it gets more dense as you go back. What happens is this creature comes up against this fence and it jumps this fence. And it was standing, we think, right in this where I'm standing right now. And my friend's inside right now. I'm getting footage. And did you just fucking hear that? That was fucking it.
And this.
Oh.
Like, what is that?
Fuck this amount.
Well, hold on. We have got to go back.
Right now.
That first one was horrifying. That second
Right?
one, I don't think.
But we couldn't even
sound
figure it out.
natural.
No.
What? I wonder. I'm trying to see if there's a way to blow up the volume on this.
Oh my god!
Like we spent.
And it gets more dense as you go back. But what happens is this creature comes up against this fence and it jumps this fence. And it was standing, we think, right in this where I'm standing right now. And my friend's inside right now. But I'm getting this footage. And did you just fucking hear that? That was fucking it. Oh.
Like, I can't
Fuck this amount.
explain. And I even, like, the closest animal I could possibly get to it was maybe a mountain lion. But they don't make that second part. Like,
No, they don't make that.
That second
couldn't-
sound was weird.
I couldn't figure it out. So if any of our fans can debunk that, I would love to hear it or hear about it because I couldn't figure it out.
Can you imagine hearing that at night? I would be shitting myself too. Like
I'd
that
be
couple that
running.
was like, ooh, no thank you.
Right?
No man.
And if I was that little girl, I would have shit my pants.
Well, they don't know the legend. She doesn't even know what's coming for her. That's
No.
terrible.
No.
I wonder
Oh
if
my
there's like a little
God.
talisman or something you can wear.
I don't know. But
That was a good one.
I'm gonna tattoo.
That's the legend of the
Daisy.
spear finger.
I'm gonna tattoo with her like a crucifix and a Be like, no way is anything getting my child. Me and Spearfinger would have like.
Be like, oh, you gotta. Never mind. I'm not gonna insult her because she's gonna come after me if I say something terrible.
So Raymond said the second sound was kind of like a deer or elk grunt, which like I could see the moose thing. I could see the moose thing. That's so scary.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that I feel like we all kind of were on par with like our urban legends tonight because I feel like we didn't really we knew what yours was, Taylor, but like I feel like we didn't know what Rachel's was, and I picked mine 5 minutes before the podcast in true hard work research fashion. I did a lot of research into this. But I like how they kind of all have like a similar theme because I picked La Llorona. And I'm very excited because I had a couple of friends who were from hold on, let me make sure I get the enunciation of this right. I had to look it up so I can make Acapulco. I think it's in Mexico City. So like there's or in Mexico, I mean. And so it's like a beach, it's a like a coastal place. And I like had heard of La Llorona, but then when I worked with this girl, she was telling me like it was like Halloween time, and she was telling me, she's like, there's like a legit like ghost story that we are like have been told since we were kids, and she's like, it is no joke, like all of us have had some experience with it. So I was like, oh yeah, like I want to hear it. And so she told me, and I was like, so that's like legit. And she's like, it's legit. And she said, especially like the town where I grew up, she's like, it was a beach city, and one of the biggest things that they tell you is like she cultivates near water. So I was like, that's terrifying. So let's chat about La Llorona a little bit. So the legend and haunting of La Llorona goes back to 1550. So that was the date of the very first sighting. She's believed to be seen in central Mexico, but they have like sightings of her have expanded to southern United States and even beyond. La Llorona, or the Weeping Woman, is a spectral entity that has haunted Central and South America for centuries. The legend of La Llorona is one of sorrow, rage, and tragedy, manifesting as a harbinger of death, especially for children. Known primarily for her mournful wails and terrifying visage, La Llorona is often associated with bodies of water, rivers, lakes, and ponds where she is said to search for her drowned children. So, I'm assuming you guys have heard of La Llorona. So that's
okay.
Kind
Can
of
we pause for 1 second?
Yeah.
I don't like that as soon as you said the name, I froze. I couldn't hear anything coming from you guys. I was the only one that was still moving. And then I looked at my phone to look at the live, and you guys were still talking, and I was pulling a Rachel. I was frozen.
Bro,
I'm telling you, it's like
10 seconds.
Is just StreamYard is just haunted.
This is literally, I'm not kidding. I was showing Rachel, and this is why I keep shaking it. I'm like, if I'm going to talk about this, I have my Catholic medallions.
But I'm about to
my little saint.
pull up my I'm putting my tiger's eye on.
I'm gonna put this
what
around
else?
my
What
wrist.
other goodies do I got over here? Oh, I have my
Jangling.
broken rosary beads. Still don't know what happened to it because some demonic thing took my. There we go.
We still haven't found
I'm
it,
ready.
which is so crazy.
Yeah, some dirty demon took it from me. Like a nerd.
We're gonna find it somewhere weird, I bet you, if we go back.
Probably. It's gonna pop up. Sorry, go ahead.
So the origin and historical background. So like I said, dates back to the 1500s. The biggest legend that is like widely told to children is her name was Maria. She was a beautiful peasant woman. She fell in love with a wealthy Spanish nobleman, and she bore him 2 children. And for a time, she like lived just. He was in love with her. They lived this life of bliss and romance and all the lovey-dovey feelings and, you know, the honeymoon phase. But then her happiness was very short-lived because her nobleman that she married was kind of ashamed and a little resentful of Maria's lower status. Lower status.
I was gonna
Ultimately, I'm telling you, I'm like, I'm half in the bag today. I'm so tired.
I was gonna say that story just got super spicy for a second. I was like, oh, spill the tea.
No, so he was kind of ashamed of her lower like peasant status, and ultimately he decided to abandon her, and he married a younger, more beautiful woman of higher social standing. So in a fit of rage and despair and just brokenheartedness, Maria took her children to the river and she drowned them. Moments later, she realized the magnitude of kind of what she had done, and she tried to retrieve their lifeless bodies from the water, but it was too late. Overcome with grief, Maria wandered the riverbanks, crying out loud, my children, until she herself drowned. When she reached the afterlife, Maria was denied entry to heaven. She was cursed to wander the earth for eternity, searching for her lost children. Her spirit, trapped in this cycle of eternal mourning, became La Llorona, the ghostly woman in white who lingers by the water's edge, weeping and waiting. So this story is told to young children, oh, you better get inside before, it gets dark out. You don't want to get in, you don't want to get taken by La Llorona. There's, it's kind of one of those like tales. But they basically say witnesses who have seen her described her as a spectral figure dressed in a tattered white gown, her face shrouded by a veil, and she appears to be a woman in her late 20s to early 30s. Her long black hair is usually like wet and matted, and her eyes are just empty voids that draw like whoever the person is into like a hypnotic, paralyzing kind of trance if they see her. They do say that when you encounter her, the temperature will drop drastically and suddenly. Witnesses often feel an overwhelming sense of dread before they hear her cries, which begin as soft, distant wails, and then they rise into gut-wrenching screams. And then you'll notice that it goes from like distant to like super, super close. And they say that the closer that she gets, the closer to death that you are. So some of the most like terrifying accounts involve her gaze. So people always say that if you encounter her, do not look her in the eyes. Like look down, say your prayers, immediately begin to pray, and just kind of beg for your salvation. Survivors who have had have had experiences with her and have told their stories, basically said that when she looks directly at you, her eyes bleed, and then her face transforms into like a skeletal gaping mouth that emits a scream capable of shattering glass. And those who have made eye contact with her have reported being unable to move, as if paralyzed, until she vanishes. Activity patterns that have been reported have been auditory disturbances. So again, cries can be heard echoing along rivers, lakes, or even streets in small rural towns. The cries will begin as a soft whisper. They get louder and louder. And then the people who hear her wails, but maybe they're not close enough to for you to experience her like front row, they do say that people who have heard her wails often they fall ill with unexplained fevers, or they experience nightmares involving drowning. Witnesses have also reported hearing splashing sounds or muffled cries of children coming from rivers or lakes, especially at night. We kind of
My dumbass immediately thought that the splashing was like, poo poo. Like poo poo splashing.
What's wrong with you?
No poo poo splash. All right, sorry, go ahead.
Dookie splashes.
All right, okay, all right.
So, visual apparitions. The ghostly form of La Llorona has been sighted wandering alone along riverbanks, bridges, or remote paths near water sources. She will appear translucent with like a pale blue light kind of shining from her body. Now, some people have reported after they have experienced her that on some instances she is seen cradling an infant wrapped in cloth, and as she approaches, or as like the witnesses approach her, the infant will vanish and she will begin to scream before she disappears into a mist.
No thanks.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, thank you. We are not going to do that today.
I think what scares me so much about this is it's like a really great ghost story, but the amount of people who have caught her cries and how so I've gone down like a whole wormhole on this because there's so many videos, and honestly the cries in all of them sound the same. And like it's crazy because it's like, how do you recreate that over and over? And it's like, you can tell that they're not using a sound bite, or it's really creepy. And they seem genuinely scared in the videos. Like, it just kind of like, it's a crappy video. They're just kind of filming, and you can hear like as it gets closer, and they're like, get in the house, close your eyes, don't look. Like, you can tell they're like freaking out. So I just think that when you have like that much documented witness accounts and like stories and video and audio, like I don't know, it just freaks me out.
I feel like the
so
creepiest part about that is like when you think about it, like, yeah, there's like people that can hurt you and stuff like that, but like when you have to tell somebody, look down, like say your prayers, that there's no other out. Like, you can't fight it, you can't run away, like you just have to stand there and just not give into the like, well, let me just like look. Like, for me, I'd be fucking dead because you tell me not to look, I'd look.
That's
like,
what scares me the most, because you can't tell people who are neurodivergent, like, that's like, don't press the big red button. And it's like, but we're curious, we need to know why. Like, and it's like, that's gonna be the very thing that kills me. Like, it's like, but why? But yeah, what I was going to say too is, so if you know, like Mexico City and like Mexico in general, they're very, a lot of the biggest religion there is Catholicism, from what I've seen. And I could be wrong on that. So if I am, please correct me. Feel free to correct me, because I would love to learn. But even my friend, her family is very, very like heavily Catholic. And so, you know, she always had like, holy water, and she had, you know, a religious necklace. And so like, they're very big on like, that's kind of like her weak spot, is like, if you get caught in a experience with her, is to get down, close your eyes, and you immediately begin praying. And so it's just super spooky. This kind of got me, because when it came to paranormal encounters, victims who had direct encounters and not just heard the wailing, like a lot of people have, they said that they have recounted hearing her whisper like their name before feeling a very cold hand grip their arm, and it usually left behind bruises in the shape of very bony fingers. And when I kind of looked into this, like, we're not talking like bruises when you wake up and you're like, how did I get that? I must have hit my like hip on a table, or like, well, you know, those like light bruises. When I looked up some of like the bruises that people claimed came from La Llorona, you can see like, it's like those black, green, like they're like serious bruises. And it's just crazy to me. So this is even scarier, but wait, it gets worse. So some witnesses have claimed that they've even been dragged towards bodies of waters by an unseen force, only to be released just as they reach the edge. And so survivors have been said that they're often left with like physical injuries such as scratches, bruises, and like have dislocations from being pulled so hard. But I just think it's so, how like scary is that to be like, okay, I can't get out of this grip, I'm being pulled towards the water, and then like thinking like, this is it for me, just to be let go right before. Like, I think like the mind fuck on that. Huh?
I'd be like, oh, let's go for a swim. You want to go for a swim? We'll go for a swim.
You want to go swimming?
We'll go swimming. Hey guys, you want to go skiing?
So, there is some theories on the haunting patterns. So researchers speculate that La Llorona's spirit is tied to water due to it's obviously her connection to her tragic past. Some believe she's eternally searching for her children's souls, hoping to bring them back from the afterlife. And others propose that La Llorona seeks to replace her lost children with new victims, particularly targeting vulnerable individuals such as children who or those who resemble her own in age. And some people have even said that because she couldn't get into the afterlife, she's looking for replacements to somehow earn her way in.
So is this something that actually happened that morphed into a ghost story, or is this just like?
So that's the thing, is I couldn't find anything on that. I didn't find anything on that. So I had just kind of pulled up, like I wanted to make sure I had the facts right, because like I've gone down wormholes and I know a lot about this, but I kind of just chose it right before the podcast. So I probably could have done a little bit more deep dive on it. But I never really, like, in all the times that I've read about it, the movies, the YouTube videos that I've watched in the past, and the things that I've kind of seen, I've never heard like if it was an actual thing. Because it happened in the 1500s. So there was never really any like documentation, but I've always been curious about that. Because I mean, as we kind of know in the paranormal field, like you can very much create something out of nothing because it's energy. Like, so if you put enough energy into believing something and you're like, this is real, this is real, this is real, you believe it, enough people believe it, and they're scared of it, they feed it fear, whatever it is, you can create something and it may not be based off of anything. So I kind of wonder here if this was an actual thing or if this was kind of drawn up and just kind of snowballed into something out of nothing. Which I feel like could really happen, I guess, with any folklore. Right?
I say put that thing over your cape and those will help me.
That's what I'm saying. I second that. I second that motion.
That's a good one.
So yeah, so I'm trying to think. Okay, so the legend spread into the southwestern United States may suggest that her curse has possibly grown, allowing her to move wherever she senses the presence of water. Some theorists propose that she is drawn to communities of Mexican or Hispanic descent, where belief in her legend keeps her spirit active and fed by collective fear. So this is kind of where I was going with. If enough people fear her and they believe it, you can very much grow something out of nothing. So I just have a couple of investigation and encounter reports that I thought were kind of spooky, and then I have like a couple just short Reddit experiences. So incident happened August 2nd of 1968, and this happened in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So two siblings ages 9 and 12 reported hearing the sound of a woman sobbing by the river near their home. When they approached, they saw a figure in white standing in the water. The older sibling attempted to call out, but the figure turned to face them. Her eyes, described as bottomless pits, began to cry blood. The children felt their bodies freeze in place until the entity let out a scream, causing them to faint. They were found by a search party hours later with no memory of how they escaped. So that's really scary, especially as a child. The next one took place on Halloween. So this one happened Halloween 1989 in Lake Xochimilco, Mexico City. Please correct me if I said that wrong, but a group of teenage campers claimed to have seen a woman in white walking on the surface of the lake. When they shone their flashlights on her, she began to scream and float towards them, her arms outstretched. The group fled in terror, but one member was found hours later unconscious near the lake. He claimed that the woman had grabbed his arm and tried to pull him under. Deep scratches were found on his arm, and he developed a fever that lasted for several weeks. There have been exorcism attempts and remedies made to try and drive her out, because the locals are like, absolutely not, we cannot have this happening, we have to protect our children. So varied methods had been like employed by local priests and shamans to banish her. Traditional remedies involved offerings of flowers and coins left by rivers, or the use of holy water and prayers to bless the area that she's known to frequent. However, these measures have only provided temporary relief. In 2005, a priest attempted an exorcism at a known hotspot in Guadalajara. The entity was reported to have manifested during the ritual, screaming in agony as the priest chanted. Witnesses claimed that the water in the river began to boil and the figure dissolved into steam. Despite the apparent success, sightings resumed within 3 months. So she went away for 3 months and then was like, hey, it's me, your girl. But so kind of going back to some of the stories, and these are some things that happened again around similar timelines, 50s, 60s. I feel like there was a lot of activity, like higher experiences that took place from like late 50s into like the 70s 80s. So this one came from Unhappy Let 4266. My grandfather and all his siblings saw and heard her. This was in Guatemala sometime in the 50s or 60s, I want to say. My great grandparents were out dancing and my grandfather and siblings were home alone. The youngest, 3 female, was supposed to be sleeping, but they all heard her crying suddenly. So they went looking for her wherever she was crying. They found her in the back on the outdoor sink, completely wet. They also saw a woman-like figure with her, but as soon as they got close enough, she disappeared and the 3-year-old was left drenched, alone, and crying. There was no way she could have climbed into the sink because those sinks are really big and difficult to get into, and she was very small. They also heard, I feel like I keep saying her name and I don't like that, so I'm just going to say
Her.
we need a nickname.
She.
LL. So they also heard LL weeping
Lil.
before and after. To this day, everyone tells the story about how my tia Doris got bathed by LL.
I feel like we should call her Lil La. Like Lil
Or
La.
La. Or should we just call her
Lala.
Lala?
La.
We'll call her Lala. I feel
She
like that
gonna-
rolls
she gonna
off the
be
tongue a
mad at
little
us.
better.
It's just the consistency of it. That's the scary part.
Well, and here's the thing. This one came from law enforcement. So this one said, I have a friend who is a deputy and was working night shift. He got called out to investigate a possible wrecked out car with no occupants. Now, this car was abandoned and located near the creepiest boat ramp that I know of, and it runs directly to the Colorado River. When he gets out there, he could tell that the car had been wrecked and out there for some time and would need a wrecker service. No one was around, and then he said he heard a wailing, like a woman was crying. So he started to call out, hello? Is anyone there? Do you need help? He was shining his flashlight around and saw nothing. Then he said it started to get louder and louder and closer. And at one point he pointed his flashlight to the water and it stopped. When he would take it off the water, it would start again. He hauled ass back to his unit and made a note for a day shift to go out there because he refused to go back and hear whoever or whatever he heard. It's
Come
so
back and
weird. So I
verify.
stopped reading for a second because it literally says a huge red thing came up and it says, you seem to be offline, connect to the internet. So I was like waiting to hear you guys because I'm like, am I off?
It's a sign.
It's her. She's disconnecting her internet.
Okay, Raymond said I am right. Catholicism is the largest religion. Cool. Because I thought so. But yeah, so there's a lot of people, especially in this thread, who have like talked about experiences, and they kind of like yours. There was somebody who is from is Filipino descent in here talking about how they have somebody similar to Lala who is called something else. And then there was also, let's see, somebody in Ireland. Yeah, so somebody in Ireland. So there's like
around and crying.
so there's like I almost feel like is this a banshee? Like is that like
Ew.
So the last one that I have for us before we kind of close this out is this one comes from Nordreich Parker 87. He said, my grandma, who was born and raised in Mexico in the state of Hidalgo, has heard of Lala at least twice in her life, and both, she said, have been extremely terrifying. Once as a girl, when she and her siblings were home, they were in the living room and it was stormy outside, and when they started to hear a wailing noise, then they heard, where's my children? Cry. That doesn't make sense. Then came the where's my children cry. She said her parents, who were talking in the dining room, rushed into the living room and were like, go to bed now. They didn't even question
Yes, ma'am.
it. They didn't even question it. She asked about what happened the following morning, but the parents, of course, were like, what are you talking about? And they just kind of are like, we're not even talking about this, like erase it from your memory. And she said that all of her siblings remember to this day what happened and what they heard. And so she said the second time was more recent It was in the early 90s. It says when I was a baby or so, mom took me to Mexico to meet her family. It must have been like 2 or 3 at the time. It was a stormy night. Mom was already asleep, and so was I, but grandma and grandpa were still awake watching TV when again they heard a wailing noise. Grandpa grabbed grandma's hand, and she knew he heard that too. They rushed to the room where mom and I were sleeping in and just stayed there, keeping an eye on us to be safe. Grandma doesn't like to talk about it, but she's seen some horrible, creepy things in her life. So it's crazy, and this is kind of what it sounds like. Let me pull it up here.
I'm going on a TikTok deep dive after this.
Don't no.
On this
'cause you're not
one?
gonna be able to sleep tonight.
It's
Wait till the
spooky.
morning.
Nah, that's all right.
That's okay.
That's all right.
I don't need. Who needs sleep?
So
Not
this
me.
Yeah.
one could be like a little debunkable, but it still was scary nonetheless.
While Morgan is looking, I did look up, and it does say that La Llorona is very similar to a banshee, but they're not the same. Like, they're not the same myth. They just have a lot of similarities. But they said that Lala,
Yeah, I was gonna say you just said
Yeah.
it.
I said
You
it,
said
and I
it.
realized. Shoot it. So they said the difference between the two is that Lala is a vengeful ghost from Mexican folklore who is said to roam near bodies of water and lure children to their deaths with their siren-like wails. Some believe you can hear those who hear their wails are marked for death. And then they say a banshee is a supernatural being from Irish and Celtic folklore who is known for her mournful wailing or keening, which is believed to foretell the death of a family member. The word banshee comes from the Irish word. I don't want to mispronounce that, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it, which means woman of the fairy mound.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's spooky. All right, so here we go. Oh, I should probably make sure the sound's loud.
Who needs sound? Oh.
Oh no! I just got chills.
I turned my sound down.
And like it's so spooky. So like if we quickly like we're gonna pull up YouTube real quick. Oh
Bro,
no, that's
I
wrong.
got
I feel cursed. I feel cursed. Get
That
off.
was
Get off. I'm
horrible.
done.
There's like
Oh my god.
I went down a whole deep dive on this like way back when
Crying
because
for 1 hour.
trying to see there was some good ones.
Dios mío, Señor, yo sí lo escuchaba. Señor Jesús, papá, papá,
You hear all the dogs going crazy?
papá, mamá, papá, Barbie.
How are they
Hay
sleeping?
alguien llorando aquí, venga, venga, bien. Venga, papi, ven. Uy, Dios mío, Señor.
Is there someone out there?
Yeah, but where's the
that?
legs?
Disgusta. No.
Mira, es que está acá. Yo se lo escuché.
Yeah.
No.
So you're welcome for that.
Mm.
Oh my god, that's scary.
And obviously there's probably some that is
Yeah.
legit and there's some that's probably edited and overrated.
That was
but
probably the local crackhead on the street.
Yeah. The first one was scary. That one, I instantly got goosebumps on that first one.
that one seems legit to me because you can tell they're like, what the hell? And that doesn't, and it sounds similar. Like, so you notice how when you play Juris Taylor, how it
Mhm.
had like there's just a tone to it that's just not natural. Like, I feel like when you say something, even in like a place that echoes, like usually you don't echo outside unless like you're in like a canyon or like, so if you are weeping or crying or screaming, it's a very like muted sound. It doesn't have like a reverb and it's not very like supernatural. So yeah, so I'm telling you, you can when I tell you, you can go down a whole rabbit hole with this. Like it was one of my favorite tales that I had heard, and then when my friend confirmed it that I worked with, she was like, no, this is like legit. Like we're all terrified of her and we don't fuck with Lala. Like we don't We don't mess around with that. And that's why, like, my one friend, I don't know how true this is, and this is just hearsay, so I'm not saying this is a fact, but she said that, like, they're super big on, like, you get your child baptized, you get them, like, anointed when they come out the womb. It is a serious thing because apparently in it seems like Mexico City is like a hot spot for paranormal activity. And I actually reached out to a girl that I found on TikTok because she was talking about how she was like terrified living in Mexico City because of the things that went on paranormally. And I was like, I would love to hear your stories because I know about Lala. And if that's on your roster, I want to know. Like, I want to know all the things. And then the movie came out and I'm watching it. It was all right. I feel like just reading
Yeah.
about it and watching live videos are a lot scarier than the movie was. But the
Well,
movie still
movies
gave me
don't
major
do as
anxiety.
much justice. They
Yeah.
like they Hollywood it. It's not
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So there you go. So those are your scary 3 really good urban legends. I feel like all of those are. I hope you can't sleep tonight. Not you
I feel
guys.
like
I hope
we
our
upped our,
listeners. I hope our
we
listeners
upped our
can't sleep
urban
tonight.
legend game.
Yeah.
That was
So if
good.
you guys enjoyed this and you want to hear more urban legends, let us know because I feel like we had fun doing this.
Mhm.
Okay, Taylor.
like it.
Are you having fun, Taylor?
I'm having a blast. I got my beads. I got my amethyst. And,
I'm like, it's so fun. Taylor's like,
yeah, I've got. I think Emily gave this to me. Right? Didn't Emily give these to us on the first day? And we did
at
them
Haunted
together?
Manor.
I think
Yeah.
so. If
She gave us
Emily
a
did
couple
give it to Emily.
crystals.
Yeah, I still keep it.
Yeah, so everybody hold up your religious sacrament or whatever
Mine's
you
on my
have,
noggin.
your relics, so that we know
Rachel,
that
Jesus Christ.
we blessed.
But
Damn
anything.
it, Rachel. Rachel,
My
hold
God.
up the side of the
Damn it,
cross.
Rachel.
We're holding up.
There you go.
We are blessing you all.
There you go.
ASMR.
Can you see? This is mine.
ASMR. We're blessing you.
ASMR. ASMR.
You are blessed and will not get cursed. Okay. So yeah.
You look like a
Enjoy,
fucking
guys.
ghost right now.
What?
You
I
look
do.
like
I
a
gotta
ghost.
watch this off. Honestly, I gotta pay more attention to the time and not be so like
How crunchy is your
neurodivergent.
skin right now? Is it dry and crusty and flaky?
Actually,
Is it
this is a
moisturizing?
very moisturizing face mask.
Ooh.
It's the Glow Recipe, the watermelon clay mask. In case you guys are
Ooh.
wondering,
It's better than
Raymond
your,
said we're funny. I'm
not-
glad we
not
make y'all
sponsored.
laugh. Yeah, I have a deep conditioning treatment going on under here, so it's hot. Like my head is hot under here, so you know it's getting. That's the problem with being a
Shade.
blonde. It's high maintenance. You gotta always
Working.
moisturize, otherwise you look like a bale of hay.
yeah.
But yeah,
Can of big beans.
so big bean.
Big bean nut. Big bean nut.
Oh gosh, now I'm mixing Rachel.
Huh?
I'm calling Rachel Taylor. You Rachel. No, have you seen that one? He's like, you look like a giraffe. He's like, yeah,
You
you
look
look
like a
like a can of
baked
baked
bean. A baked bean. A baked bean nut. Sorry.
We have to send
I
that
don't
to
have to
Rachel.
see it.
after
You
this.
guys just reenacted it for me.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
we're gonna send it to you regardless. You're gonna have to live it twice,
Alright.
3 times, 4 times the charm.
All right.
Sometimes
But
not.
yeah, so thanks for joining our scariness. We're getting better with not being dysfunctional and getting off track. So I'm really proud of us. Can we get a little clap?
Guys, can we
Round of
talk
applause.
about
a
how this is
religious
the
round of
second-
applause, guys?
This is the second episode I have not dissociated, so I'm pretty proud of myself.
So an hour's
Yeah,
our
we were
sweet
doing-
spot before.
Yeah, I think we got to stick with the Ghoulfriend hour. 'Cause We were doing the Ghoulfriend hour and a half, the Ghoulfriend 2 hours.
You remember when we first started this show and we were doing a full 2 hours? I don't know
Bro,
how we were doing that.
we did it a lot. But now we're just coming into it and we're just rocking and rolling. So thanks for if you've been a listener this long and you haven't unsubscribed yet,
I'm so
we appreciate
sorry.
y'all.
So sorry.
So sorry.
I'm
If you
so
made
sorry
it through
for
2
your
hours.
loss.
Honestly, if you even made it through 15 minutes of our podcast, we commend you. We love y'all. We
'Cause
appreciate it.
our stories, our episodes don't start until 16 minutes in. So
Yeah.
if you leave
Yeah,
before the
usually.
16-minute mark, don't subscribe.
And if you want to get straight to the content, like the topic of what we're talking about,
Skip to the end.
just Just
To the
skip.
end.
Last 2 minutes.
If you want a warning too, if you need a trigger warning, skip to the end, listen to the trigger warning, and then go back.
No. If you want a trigger warning, you ain't gonna get one because most of the time we forget to give one.
True. But if you are gonna get one, it's most likely at the end after the
Morgan's like,
trigger.
if
by
you're
the
lucky.
way,
If you're
Yeah.
at
lucky.
the end, here's
Yeah.
your warning. We've talked about all these scary things. Here's your warning.
Hope I didn't traumatize you.
Bye.
But,
That's all,
Yeah.
folks.
thanks for trauma bonding with us.
Until next time.
Until next time, everybody. Hope you're taking care of yourselves because this is our self-care episode that we didn't plan, but it just kind of happened.
That's it.
So yeah, so stay spooky, and as always, stay
Weird.
Y'all.
I can't remember if it was weird or spooky, so
I don't fucking know.
Yes. Okay, but yeah, stay weird. Make sure you stay extra weird. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.